The Galactic Union Chamber was built to make visitors feel small. Its ceiling rose like a dark sky filled with soft lights, each one marking a star system. Seats of many shapes circled the center floor, designed for bodies that breathed different air and moved in different ways. Voices from many worlds filled the space, calm on the surface, but heavy with old fear and quiet power. In the center stood a child. Her name was Era. She was small even by her own people's standards. Her skin carried a gentle silver tone that reflected the chamber lights, and her dark eyes were wide but steady. She wore no crown and no armor, only a simple robe that marked her as kin to the ruling bloodline. Around her, the leaders of the galaxy waited, confused and uneasy. A child was not meant to stand here. Ira took a slow breath. She had practiced this moment many times, alone with her tutors, alone with her thoughts, and alone with her mother. Still, her heart beat fast. She reminded herself why she was here. She was not here for herself alone. She was here for her mother. At the far side of the chamber stood a human. His name was Jinwoo. He wore a plain dark uniform with no decorations. His hands rested at his sides. He did not try to look important, and he did not lower his eyes either. He simply watched, calm and quiet, as if he were standing guard instead of facing the most powerful council in known space. Many eyes turned to him. Humans were still new to this chamber. They were known for fast growth, sharp minds, and strange emotional strength. Some admired them. Others feared them. Few trusted them. Era looked at Jinwoo and felt a strange sense of safety. She did not fully understand why. She only knew that when she thought of a future with him in it, the galaxy felt less cold. She lifted her voice. It was clear and soft, but it carried. "My mother leads many worlds," Era said. "She carries their pain and their hope. She has done this alone for a long time." A quiet moved through the chamber. Some leaders shifted in their seats. They knew who her mother was. Hana, the matriarch of the Lyrian people, the one who ended 3 wars without breaking a single planet. The one who held the Union together when it should have fallen apart. Era continued. "Our laws say a leader must have a bonded partner. Not for love alone, but for balance. For shared judgment. For strength when one grows tired." She paused and looked down for a moment. When she looked up again, her eyes shone. "My mother has no partner," she said. "Because none were right." A low sound passed through the chamber. This was not a secret, but it was not often spoken so plainly. Era turned her body fully toward Jinwoo. "I have watched humans," she said. "I have studied your history. You fall. You fail. You fight among yourselves. But you also stand back up. You protect your young. You choose family even when it costs you." Jinwoo felt the weight of the room press in on him. He did not move. He did not interrupt. Era raised her chin. "My mother requires a partner," she said. "And I wish for a father." The words landed like a shockwave. "Human Jinwoo," Era said. "Please wed her. Please help lead the galaxy." For a long moment, no one spoke. Some leaders reacted with open anger, others with disbelief. A few watched Jinwoo closely, measuring him as one might measure a weapon. Jinwoo felt heat rise in his chest. Not pride, not fear, but something deeper. Responsibility. He had been a soldier, a planner, a protector. But this was different. This was not a command. It was a request made by a child who carried the fate of worlds in her small hands. He took one step forward. "I will not answer quickly," Jinwoo said. His voice was steady, plain, and human. "This is not a small thing. A marriage is not a tool. Leadership is not a prize." Some scoffed. Others leaned closer. "I am honored by your words," he said to Era. and by your trust. But I will not promise what I do not yet understand." Era nodded. She had expected this. In truth, she had hoped for it. A quick yes would have frightened her more. At that moment, a tall figure rose from a seat carved of living crystal. Hannah stepped forward. She was taller than most in the chamber, her presence quiet but heavy. Her eyes, the same dark shade as Era's, moved from her daughter to Jinwoo. In them was weariness, sharp intelligence, and a long-held loneliness that few had ever seen. "My daughter speaks with courage," Hannah said. "She speaks because I allowed her to speak, because the future belongs to her generation." She turned to the council. "This proposal will not be forced. The human will not be bound by threat or reward. If he stands beside me, it will be by choice." Hannah then faced Jinwoo fully. "I have ruled alone because I refused to choose wrong," she said. "I will not choose wrong now." Jinwoo met her gaze. He felt no desire to kneel. He felt no urge to dominate. He only felt the truth of her words. "I will learn," he said. "I will listen. And then I will decide." Era released a breath she did not know she was holding. It was not a yes, but it was not a no. The chamber slowly returned to motion. Voices rose. Arguments began. But something had already changed. A human had been asked not to serve, not to submit, but to become family. And for the first time in many years, the galaxy felt the quiet pull of hope. The days after the council meeting were heavy with tension. News traveled fast across the Union. Every world seemed to speak about the same thing. A human had been asked to stand beside the matriarch. Some called it hope. Others called it danger. Jinwoo was given a simple place to stay near the Capitol Gardens. It was quiet, filled with slow-moving light and long paths of stone. Guards watched from a distance, but did not follow him closely. This was not a prison. It was a test. Each morning he walked the paths alone. He thought about Earth, about the people he had left behind, and about the strange turn his life had taken. He did not feel pride. He felt weight. Hannah did not summon him at once. She believed time revealed more truth than pressure ever could. Instead, she observed from afar. Reports came to her from servants, guards, and even gardeners. The human spoke politely. He asked questions. He listened more than he spoke. Era visited him often. She would appear at his side without warning, her steps light and quick. She asked him about human food, human stories, and human parents. She asked what it meant to have a father who chose you, not because of law, but because of love. Jinwoo answered her honestly. He did not paint humans as heroes. He spoke of mistakes, of regret, and of learning too late. Era listened closely. She liked that he did not pretend. One evening, Hannah invited Jinwoo to walk with her. The path they took overlooked the city below. Lights from many species mixed together, forming a soft glow that reached toward the horizon. For a long moment, neither spoke. "I did not expect my daughter to choose a human," Hannah said at last. "I did not expect to be chosen," Jinwoo replied. Hannah looked at him. "Many have wanted my position. Many have wanted my power. You have shown no hunger for either." "I have seen what power does when it is wanted too much," Jinwoo said. "It breaks people." They continued walking. Hannah spoke of her past. She spoke of long councils, endless wars, and the nights she spent awake deciding which world to save first. She spoke of partners chosen by tradition who failed her people. She spoke of choosing to rule alone, even when the law frowned upon it. "I became strong," she said, "but I also became tired." Jinwoo listened. He did not interrupt. At the same time, not all watched in silence. Within the council, a group of elders met in private. They feared what a human partner could mean. Humans changed quickly. They adapted faster than most species could track. To place one beside the matriarch felt like handing the future to the unknown. They decided to test him. A distant border world sent an urgent call. Trade routes failed. Supplies were trapped. Old tensions between species began to rise again. The council delayed, arguing over rules and past agreements. Jin Wu was invited to observe the meeting. As voices rose, he saw fear hiding behind pride. He saw leaders more concerned with blame than solutions. He felt the same frustration he had once felt on battlefields where lives were lost to delay. He spoke without raising his voice. Send mixed teams, he said. Not fleets from one world. Let them protect each other. Share command. Share risk. Some laughed. Some grew angry. That breaks protocol, one elder said. Protocol does not feed hungry cities, Jinwu replied. Hannah watched him carefully. She did not defend him. She did not silence him. She let the room decide. The delay cost lives. When riots broke out on the border world, Hannah gave Jinwu limited authority. Not because the law demanded it, but because time did. Jinwu moved fast. He spoke directly to local leaders. He used simple words. He asked what they needed instead of telling them what to do. He placed human ships between rival fleets, not as threats, but as shields. When violence flared, he stood in open space between armed groups, trusting that neither side would fire first. They did not. Era watched the reports with wide eyes. She saw him bleed. She saw him refuse rest. She saw him choose civilians over strategy. Hannah felt something she had not felt in years. Relief. The crisis ended quietly. No grand victory. No parade. Just lives saved and anger cooled. When Jinwu returned, he was exhausted. Hannah met him not as a ruler, but as a woman. You did not have to do that, she said. I know, he replied. But I could. That night, Era waited outside her mother's chamber. Do you still wish for a father? Hannah asked her. Ira nodded without hesitation. And if he says no? Hannah asked. Era thought for a moment. Then I will still thank him for trying. Hannah closed her eyes. For the first time, the question was no longer if a human could help lead the galaxy. It was whether the galaxy was ready to be led with humanity. Hannah's life was not easy. She had led her people through times no one else wanted to face. The wars that tore the stars apart. The long nights when every choice felt like a choice between death and hope. She had been alone in her role for many years. No partner could share the burden. No bond could ease the loneliness. She remembered the early days of her rule, when her first partner had been chosen by law and ceremony. He was strong but cold. He cared more for power than peace. Their bond broke quickly, and the scars it left still whispered in the quiet moments. The second had been kinder but weak. He could not stand when the council doubted them. He faltered, and the enemy took advantage. She had had to step in to save more than one battle, and the union ended with quiet shame. After those failures, Hannah had chosen to lead alone. It was not by pride, but by need. Her people accepted it because they knew the cost of failure. But inside, the isolation grew like a shadow. Era saw this shadow. She watched her mother closely. She knew the strong mask was only part of her. When Jingwu came, Hannah watched him too. She saw the way he spoke honestly, the way he held no fear of her power, and the way he did not try to impress. She saw something rare in him. Hope without demand. One evening, Hannah invited Jinwu to the council chamber after hours. There was no audience, no guards, only silence and soft lights. I want to show you something, Hannah said. She led him through a hidden door. Beyond was a room filled with records, pictures, and memories. Walls told stories of the past rulers, the battles won and lost, and the weight carried by those who had come before. Hana pointed to one image, herself, younger, standing beside a broken city. "This was the hardest moment," she said. "The war nearly destroyed my people. I lost friends, family, and part of myself." Jingwu listened quietly. She spoke of the sacrifices she made, of trust given and betrayed, of choices made in silence and sorrow. "Leadership is not a game," Hana said softly. "It is a chain that binds us to the lives we hold dear. I carry it alone because I must. But it is heavy." Jingwu looked at her and said, "No one should carry weight alone." Hana smiled faintly. "Perhaps that is why your daughter wishes for a father." Era had spent many hours with Jingwu. She learned about human families, about how fathers could be protectors, teachers, and friends, how love was not always perfect, but was a choice made every day. She also asked questions that surprised Jingwu. Do humans always fight? Why do they sometimes choose war over peace? Can one person really change the fate of many? He answered with simple truths. He said humans made mistakes, but they also made promises. That failure was part of growth. That standing up was harder than falling down. Era began to see the human in Jingwu as more than a stranger. He was a teacher, a guide, and maybe even a friend. But not everyone saw this dot in the council chambers. Whispers grew louder. Some feared the change. They believed a human partner would weaken the traditions that held the galaxy together. They argued that power should stay in the hands of those born to rule. Hana faced this resistance. She knew old ways died slowly. She also knew that the galaxy was tired of wars. Born from stubborn pride. She decided to let the human prove himself. Jingwu was given access to the council's archives. He studied histories of alliances, betrayals, and peace treaties. He met diplomats and soldiers from many worlds. He asked questions, listened, and learned. Slowly, he began to understand the complex dance of power. He did not promise to change everything. Instead, he promised to be honest and fair. Era watched this quietly. She felt hope growing. One day, she asked Jingwu, "Do you think you can be the father I wish for?" He looked at her and smiled. "I will try." Hana saw this moment and felt something shift inside her. Maybe this human was not just a stranger, but a chance for something new. The galaxy waited and watched. Change was coming, and with it, the chance to build a future where no one stood alone. The galaxy was quiet for a time, but peace was always fragile. On a distant border world, tension began to rise. Trade ships were stopped. Supplies did not reach hungry cities. Old rivalries stirred like sleeping fires. The border world was home to many species, each with its own fears and hopes. They all looked to the council for help. The council met again, but this time their voices were sharp and angry. Some blamed each other. Some blamed the humans. No one wanted to take full responsibility. Old rules stopped them from acting quickly. This delay made the situation worse. Jingwu watched from the side. He saw frustration in the faces of leaders who could not decide. He felt the weight of time slipping away. If the council failed, innocent lives would suffer. He knew he had to act. He stepped forward, his voice calm but firm. "We must move now. We cannot wait for perfect plans. We must protect the people first." Some leaders frowned. "You break our protocol," one said. "You speak as if you command us." "I do not command," Jingwu answered. "I suggest we work together. Send teams from different worlds to protect each other. Share the risk. Share the strength." This idea was new. It broke old customs. But it also gave hope. Hana listened quietly. She said nothing, but watched closely. She trusted Jingwu's judgment, but she knew others might not. As the council debated, The border world's problems grew worse. Riots broke out in the cities. Factions armed themselves. Fear turned to anger. Jinwoo asked Hana for limited power to act. It was not much, but it was enough. She gave it to him with a look that said she hoped he would succeed where others hesitated. Jinwoo moved quickly. He reached out to local leaders. He spoke plainly, not as a ruler, but as a helper. He asked what they needed and promised to try his best. He sent human ships and alien ships together to guard trade routes. He placed them between rival forces, not as threats, but as shields. His actions calmed some fears. They saw humans and aliens working side by side. When fighting broke out, Jinwoo stood in the middle of the chaos. Armed groups faced each other, but no one fired. His calm presence was a silent promise. Violence would bring no victory. Era watched the news with wide eyes. She saw Jinwoo's hands bleed. She saw the dark circles under his eyes for lack of sleep. She saw him put others before himself. Hana felt something she had not felt for years. Relief. Maybe this human was not just a stranger. Maybe he could be the partner her people needed. Slowly, peace returned to the border world. No grand celebrations came. No speeches about heroes. Just quiet thanks from those who survived. When Jinwoo came back, he was tired. He expected questions and tests. Instead, Hana greeted him simply. "You did well," she said softly. Jinwoo nodded. "I did what I could." Hana looked at him, her eyes full of meaning. "You risked much." "I risked nothing I would not risk for family," he said. That night, Hera stood outside her mother's chamber. The stars shone bright above, but inside, the future felt uncertain. "Do you still want the father?" Hana asked quietly. Hera nodded. "Yes, and if he says no?" Hana pressed gently. Hera thought a moment. "Then I will thank him for trying." The galaxy held its breath. It waited for Jinwoo's answer. It waited to see if humanity could lead not by force, but by heart. The days after the border world crisis were quiet, but full of meaning. Jinwoo took time to think about what had happened. He had been asked to become more than a protector. He had been asked to become family. The weight of that request grew heavier with each passing moment. Hana did not rush him. She waited patiently, knowing the choice was not just about titles or power. It was about trust, respect, and a future that few could see clearly yet. Hera watched Jinwoo closely. She saw the struggle in his eyes, the desire to do what was right, and the fear of failing those she loved. She wished to give him strength, but knew he had to find it on his own. Finally, the moment came. Jinwoo stood before the council chamber again, this time not as a visitor, but as a man who had lived among the stars and learned their stories. The room was silent. Waiting. He spoke simply. "I accept," he said. Not as a claim to power, but as a promise. A promise to stand beside Hana, to protect her, to share the burdens of leadership, and to be the father Hera wished for. Some council members nodded with approval. Others remained silent, unsure but willing to watch and see. Hana's eyes filled with a quiet joy she had not known for years. For the first time, she did not feel alone. The ceremony was small but meaningful. No grand displays or pomp, just a joining of two souls and two futures. Jinwoo and Hana stood side by side, not as ruler and subject, but as partners. Together, they would guide the galaxy not through fear, but through hope. Hera smiled, feeling the warmth of a family she had only dreamed of. The galaxy changed slowly after that day. Humans were no longer seen as outsiders, but as equals. They brought new ideas, new strength, and new hope. Jinwoo did not seek to rule with an iron fist. He led with a steady hand and a listening heart. He learned the ways of many species and taught them what he had learned from Earth. Together, Jinwoo and Hana faced challenges. They fought old enemies and healed old wounds. They built alliances where there had been hate. Era grew under their care. She learned what it meant to have a father who chose to love, not because of law, but because of heart. The galaxy was still vast and full of unknown dangers, but now it had a family to stand behind its leaders. A family made stronger by trust and hope.